Obese girl, rejected 5 times for her size, discovers incredible support from CEO at next table. Molly clutched her apron as if it was a lifeline. The diner buzzed with laughter and chatter, the scent of greasy burgers and sweet cakes swirling in the air. She always felt invisible here, overshadowed by the charismatic personalities who filled the booths. At 16 and heavier than most of her classmates, she was a target for cruel remarks, and the weight of their judgment lay on her like a heavy coat she couldn't take off. She couldn't remember a time when someone hadn't bullied her because of her size. But tonight, something felt different. She was working her part-time shift, lost in her world of art, painting images in her mind as she served families sharing moments together. Just then, she overheard the excited voices of a group nearby. With every word, they painted a picture of success: business professionals chatting about an upcoming charity event that could change lives, including hers. At the center of their conversation was the charismatic CEO, known for his stunning success in tech. His laughter rang like music, cutting through the noise of the diner. Molly turned abruptly, hoping to catch another glimpse. Suddenly, she felt emboldened by an impulse, driven by a flicker of determination. A few brave steps brought her closer. To her surprise, the CEO's gaze met hers, and something sparked. He smiled warmly, inviting her into their conversation. "I often find creativity thrives in unexpected places," he said, his eyes twinkling like stars. In that moment, she no longer felt the weight of rejection she was accustomed to. I paint," Molly stuttered, her heart pounding. I create art." The words slipped out, igniting a connection she hadn't expected. The CEO leaned closer, genuinely interested, as though he saw something in her that the others didn't. They began to talk, weaving in and out of their stories about the struggle of being seen, that suffocating feeling of being judged based on appearances alone. He encouraged her to embrace her talent, to showcase her art at the charity event. "Use that," he said, gesturing to her heart. "Let it speak. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen." Now let's continue, but just when the spark of possibility ignited within her, disaster struck. The town's economy faltered. The charity event was at risk, and with it, Molly's chance to show her art. Despair mingled with anger. But instead of retreating, Molly drew on his encouragement. The idea blossomed within her, a plan to mobilize her community. She envisioned them working together, a chorus of voices rewriting twisted narratives. She poured everything into their shared dreams, rallying support like a wildfire spreading through the town. As the event approached, she prepared to unveil her art, her heart pounding like a drum. Standing on stage, she noticed the boys who used to tease her in the audience. They were sneering, but under their judgment, she felt something shift. Their perspectives were about to change. With a determined breath, she whispered to herself, could she inspire those who once turned their backs? In that moment, she felt more than hope, she felt the rush of her own power, ready to share her journey with everyone. Would they see her now, not for her weight, but for her spirit? Molly stood at the center of the stage, the spotlight illuminating her like a beacon, bright and unyielding. Her heart raced as she looked out at the gathering crowd. It was a mix of familiar faces and strangers, all eagerly waiting for her to share her art. Their eyes, once filled with mockery, now held a mix of curiosity and expectation. She steadied herself, drawing in a deep breath, reminding herself how far she had come. With a hand trembling slightly, she unveiled her first painting, her interpretation of hope, a swirling explosion of colors representing dreams and resilience. The vibrant strokes seemed to dance in the air, capturing the attention of the audience. Molly could almost hear the gasps as they leaned in closer, their previous judgments pushed aside, if only for a moment. Life isn't just about how we look, she began, her voice shaking but rising in confidence. It's about who we are inside. Art saved me. It showed me that every stroke, every color, tells a story that transcends appearances. She felt a surge of energy as she spoke, emboldened by the passion that had been buried deep within, waiting for the right moment to break free. One by one, she revealed each piece a series dedicated to the struggles of acceptance and self-love. Each image was more than paint on canvas, it was a testament to her journey and the battles she'd fought. Tears filled her eyes at the thought of all the times she felt utterly alone and unworthy. But here, right now, she was more than just the girl labeled by her size. She was an artist. The once quietly critical boys from school stood with their mouths slightly agape, unable to mask their surprise. The CEO, sitting front and center, beamed with pride. She knew he believed in her when no one else did, and that thought warmed her from the inside out. As she concluded her presentation, the applause erupted. It was a thunderous wave of support, sweeping over her, lifting her spirit higher than she ever thought possible. She felt admired, not for her size or any outer measure, but for her talent, her courage, and her voice. In that moment, as she basked in the love and appreciation swirling around her, Molly spotted familiar faces in the crowd, old friends who had turned away and those who had never reached out to understand. Her heart ached with longing that maybe, just maybe, this day could rewrite their stories too. After the applause subsided, the CEO approached her, his eyes glistening. "You have a gift, Molly. Never let anyone dim your light." His words wrapped around her like a comforting blanket. But as the crowd gradually dispersed, she noticed a group huddled together, whispering. She could feel the familiar pang of insecurity creeping back. Did some of them still see her as the same girl they always had? Would their newfound awareness last beyond this moment? Molly turned away from the stage, gripping the edge of the easel as reality loomed. This was just the beginning. She had shared her heart, but the true challenge was yet to come. How would she keep this momentum alive? How could she turn their fleeting applause into lasting change? Determined, she looked out across the crowd, searching not just for approval, but for allies who would stand by her side on this newfound journey. Little did she know, a chance encounter was awaiting her. Would she be ready when the next chapter of her story unfolded? As Molly stepped off the stage, the buzz of excitement lingered in the air. She felt a rush, a mix of exhilaration and the sting of vulnerability. Each step away from the spotlight felt heavier than the last. The thrill of her performance started to fade, and reality crept back in whispers, insecurities, and doubt. Was that genuine belief she sensed in the crowd, or just an illusion created by her moment of bravery? Her heart pounded, echoing her fear that perhaps it was too soon to feel validated. Just then, a young woman approached her. With bright eyes and an open smile, she reached out. "That was amazing!" she exclaimed, enthusiasm lighting her face. "I'm Sarah. I never thought I'd see someone express themselves so powerfully. You're inspiring." Molly felt a warmth spread from her cheeks to her heart. It was strange yet comforting to receive such encouragement from a stranger. "Thank you," she managed, the words tumbling out with genuine surprise. The friendship she'd yearned for flashed like lightning in her mind. They started talking, and before long, the struggles of both their lives spilled into the conversation. Sarah shared her own journey of overcoming personal obstacles. The words flowed, raw and real. Molly hung on to every story, feeling that maybe she wasn't alone in her battles after all, but just as Molly felt empowered, she glanced back, spotting the group that had been whispering. The same boys who once teased her were now laughing, and she felt her stomach drop. Despite the triumph she'd just experienced, their presence pulled her down into that dark pit of insecurity. "Forget them," Sarah said, catching Molly's eye. "Let us celebrate your incredible art. You created something beautiful. That's what matters." Molly smiled, but it felt thin. Was it really that easy to push aside the doubts that festered in her mind? Just a moment before, she'd felt like the star of her own story, and now that spark dimmed. Let us go find somewhere quieter, Sarah suggested, gently nudging her away from the gathering crowd. When they found a cozy little cafe, the intimate space offered a refuge. Sarah ordered 2 steaming mugs of cocoa, and they both sank into plush chairs, the warmth enveloping them. Incredible things are possible, you know. Sarah leaned in, her voice reassuring. We can redefine what it means to be beautiful. Molly nodded, the familiar fire lighting within her affirmations. I know it's possible, she said, realizing that hope wasn't just a color on a canvas. It was a persistent feeling, a belief wrapped in support. I just need to figure out how to keep it going. Start small. Build a community, Sarah offered. Create a gallery that shows all bodies can be art. Your voice inspires others. The idea stuck with Molly, electrifying her heart. Could she really do that? Her vision of an inclusive space, where everyone felt welcome, suddenly seemed real. As their conversation continued, Molly felt a flicker of excitement returning. But just as quickly as it ignited, it dimmed again. She thought of her old friends, the familiar faces fading into distant memories, the ones who had watched her transform but never reached out. Out of the corner of her eye, she spotted a figure walking towards the cafe, one she recognized all too well. Taking a deep breath, she saw the boy from school, the one whose words had stung the most in the past. Her heart raced. What did he want? Hey, Molly. He called out, stopping in front of her. The cafe, once a haven, felt heavy with tension now. Would this be a moment of reconciliation or another reminder of past pain? Molly's throat tightened as she prepared herself for whatever was next. Would she have the strength to stand her ground, or would it crumble like dust beneath her? Little did she know, this encounter could change everything. Would she embrace the courage she had just discovered, or would the shadows of her past pull her back once again? Molly's pulse raced as she tried to read the expression on the boy's face. He used to be a part of her life, back when peers mattered more than passion. Now, it felt like a ghost from her past had simply strolled back into her present. His confident stance and casual smile pushed all her defenses into a state of alarm. Wow, great performance. I didn't know you had it in you, he said, his tone light but tinged with an edge that made her wary. It was a compliment, but she could feel the judgment underneath. Did he really mean it, or was he just surprised she could pull it off? Thanks, Molly replied, forcing the words through the tightness in her throat. Sarah, keenly aware of the shift in energy, subtly pressed her hand against Molly's. She remained quiet, allowing Molly the space to process. Listen, I know we didn't get along back in school, he continued, scratching the back of his head, but I just wanted to say, it seems like you've really come into your own. Molly met his gaze for the first time. You're right. We didn't, she said, her voice steady. But I'm not the same person anymore. His smile faltered for a fraction of a second. It was a small victory for Molly, feeling the strength inside her. She wouldn't let the voices of her past drown out the newfound courage she was beginning to feel. I didn't mean to offend you, he said, taking a slight step back. I just wanted to connect. Maybe we could grab coffee or something, talk more about the performance. Her heart weighed heavy in her chest. Was this a genuine apology or just an attempt to redeem himself in her eyes? I'm here with a friend, she managed, glancing at Sarah. But thanks. Right, of course, he laughed awkwardly, brushing off the moment like it was nothing. Hope you both have a good day. He turned and walked away, his footsteps echoing in the quiet cafe. Instant relief washed over Molly like a wave, but it was quickly followed by a thought that sent chills down her spine. Had she been too harsh? Did she just miss an opportunity for closure? What was that about? Sarah asked, breaking the silence. Molly leaned back in her chair, exhaling slowly. I don't even know, I just felt like I had to stand my ground. But now I wonder, was it worth it? It's always worth it to stand up for yourself, Sarah asserted, her eyes bright. You're not the same girl he used to tease. You're melting through that mold, Molly. Molly felt the warmth of Sarah's belief, and it lifted her hope a little higher. Yet, the nagging question lingered, buzzing like a fly in her ear. What if this was her chance to move past the hurt, to transform not just herself but her connection to those old wounds? As they finished their cocoa, the minutes flew by. Just when the conversation dipped into more personal dreams of art and community, Molly's thoughts wandered again to the boy. Do you think I should reach out to him later? She asked hesitantly. Only if you want closure. But remember, you're creating relationships within your art. That matters more. Those words echoed in her mind as they left the cafe. Outside, bright colors and voices hustled around them, the world feeling alive and full of possibilities. Molly felt the courage within churn, a storm ready to burst forth. But as they walked down the street, Sarah suddenly stopped. Molly, wait. What if we actually went ahead with that gallery idea? Like tomorrow, we could start making plans for it. Molly's heart leaped at the thought, yet trepidation tied knots in her stomach. The dream felt so tangible but so scary. Could we really do it? Of course. We can take your art and create a whole movement. Think about the people who need your voice. With every word, excitement bubbled beneath her skin. Yet shadows lingered at the edges of her mind. But what would happen if they failed? Would she risk everything to try? Molly's heart thudded with both anxiety and thrill. The vision of her gallery danced before her, pulling her closer to a leap she wasn't sure she was ready to take. As uncertainty flickered in her eyes, she looked back at Sarah, ready to find her answer. Would she take the plunge and chase this dream, or let her past hold her back once more? Heart racing, Molly stepped away from the cafe's entrance, pulling Sarah along with her. The sun was setting, painting the sky in shades of orange and purple. Each hue felt like a reminder of possibilities. Yet, it was the weight of her thoughts that lingered, heavy like a fog. So, tomorrow? Sarah nudged, breaking through Molly's clouds of doubt. Could we? The question drifted between them, hesitant and hopeful all at once. Absolutely. We've been talking about it for ages. It's time to just go for it. You're ready. Sarah's enthusiasm was contagious, igniting a spark within Molly that she had almost forgotten existed. But what if it didn't work out? What if the gallery was filled with people who loved her art, but also with those who remembered the girl from school, the one who was bullied, the one who fell short? Okay, Molly replied, raising her hands in mock surrender. Let us do it. Let us plan the gallery. As they walked deeper into the heart of the city, the sounds of traffic mixed with lively chatter, and Molly felt her spirits lift. The girls passed art studios and boutiques, each window a burst of color that nudged her creativity. Let us start with the theme, Sarah suggested, her eyes sparkling with excitement. What is the message you want to convey? Molly paused, the weight of that question settling on her with an unexpected intensity. She had always painted her emotions: fear, joy, longing, but now, she wanted to say more. Why not empower others who felt trapped like she once did? Freedom, Molly blurted out, the words spilling from her heart. Art that shows how to break free from expectations. I want people to feel strong and inspired when they look at it. That's perfect. Sarah grinned, nodding as she scribbled down ideas on her phone. But before Molly could dive deeper into her vision, they stumbled upon a street musician, pouring his soul into every note. They paused, mesmerized by the sweet sound of a guitar and the rawness of his voice. It was an unplanned moment, but at that instant, it felt like an affirmation of their own dreams. See? This is how it starts, Sarah said, her eyes shining. Art moves people. Just like this guy is moving us right now. A smile spread across Molly's face, warmth spilling through her. Could she really create that kind of impact? Could her own emotions, her art, resonate as deeply as this musician's melody? The deeper they talked about plans, the more thrilling the uncertainty became. Every step forward felt electric, even as it sent little jabs of fear crashing into her heart. Later that night, curled up in her cozy blanket, with the moonlight spilling through her window, Molly grabbed her sketchbook. Images of her ideas danced in her mind, ideas of strength and hope if only she could execute them correctly. But as her pencil brushed the paper, doubts returned with a vengeance. What if her pieces weren't good enough? Would anyone even come? Lost in an internal battle, she flipped to a blank page, breathing in deeply. Just then, a notification pinged on her phone. It was a message from the boy, the one who had approached her at the cafe. "Hey, Molly. I totally understand if you don't want to chat, but I'd love to hear about your art." Molly's heart jolted at the screen, confusion mixing with a rush of excitement. Was this his way of apologizing? She hesitated, staring at the message like it was a grenade waiting to explode. Was this the moment to revisit that chapter, to finally seek the closure she craved? Or was it a distraction from the gallery? With trembling fingers, she hovered over the keyboard, the weight of her thoughts pulling her in two different directions. Unlocking her phone felt like an invitation to dive back into the past or to step boldly into her future. What space did she want to occupy? Would she seize this moment for herself or let it slip away into regret once more? Molly stared at the message from the boy, her pulse quickening. She felt torn between two worlds, the one that had haunted her through the years, marked by rejection and ridicule, and the sparkling one of hope and new beginnings that lay before her, with the gallery hanging in the balance. She took a deep breath, her fingers hovering over the screen. What did she want to say? Did she want to dive into old wounds, or invite something new? "What are you thinking?" Sarah's voice drifted from the back, where she flopped onto the couch, looking at her phone. Her head was resting on a pile of blankets, but her curiosity was evident. I got a message from that guy," Molly replied, feeling the heat creep up her neck. "He wants to talk about my art." "Ooh. That's awesome. What are you waiting for?" Sarah perked up, her eyes sparkling with encouragement. Molly chewed her lip. But what if it turns into something messy? What if he just wants to know about the girl he once knew? What if? Or he genuinely wants to know about you, the artist you are now. Sarah rolled over to face her, propping herself up on her elbow. Everyone's got a past, but it doesn't define them. You've worked so hard to break free from it. Saying that felt like a spark of light in the room. Right? Molly said, finally allowing a smile to break through. Okay, maybe you're right. She turned her phone back on, breath held tight. What do I say? Something simple, real. Just share your vision, Sarah suggested, her voice soothing. Remember, it's about your art now, not who you were. Molly nodded and began to type, her heart racing as she crafted her response. The act of sending it felt monumental, like she was letting go of part of her past with the click. A few minutes later, her phone chimed. Molly's heart leapt. Wow, I'd love to hear more. I'm really interested in what you're creating. Can we meet? Maybe tomorrow? Molly gasped, her heart swelling and sinking all at once. He wants to meet, she whispered in disbelief, her palms clammy with excitement. See? You're ready. This is amazing. Sarah cheered, bouncing in her seat. The uncertainty mixed with adrenaline was intoxicating. Could this be the moment that changed everything? She recalled that street musician, the way his melodies had rallied her thoughts. Could she channel that same energy into their conversation? Tomorrow it is, Molly replied quickly, exhilaration bubbling within her. A small victory, but a victory nonetheless. As she prepared for bed, her heart still raced. But alongside the thrill of possibility was a quiet whisper of fear. Would this boy truly understand her? Would he see the girl inside, or just remnants of someone she tried so hard to bury? She drifted off to sleep with her sketchpad beside her, visions of freedom dancing in her mind. The art show was approaching, and so was a conversation that could either uplift or haunt her. When the morning sun broke, it brought with it a different kind of weight. She had a gallery to prepare for, and a message to deliver, either to a stranger who'd once known her or to a friend she had yet to meet. With a mix of hope and trepidation, Molly stepped into the day, ready to embrace whatever came next. But a thought nagged her as she walked through her door. What if this wasn't just about art? What if it led her somewhere deeper, a confrontation with her past she had long avoided? With a heart full of questions, she wondered what she would discover, and if it would bring her the closure she had yearned for all these years. As she turned the corner, the city bustling around her, the weight of her choice pressed down again. Would she step into the light, or retreat back into the shadows? Molly quickened her pace, determined for answers, even as uncertainty loomed ahead. What new revelations awaited her, and how would they change everything she thought she knew? Molly entered the cafe, the aroma of fresh coffee mingling with the sounds of clinking cups and lively chatter. As she scanned the room, her heart pounded. There he was, sitting at a corner table, a familiar face from her past, but so much older and different now. He looked up and caught her gaze, a tentative smile spreading across his lips. "Hey," he said, his voice warm but laced with uncertainty. "Hi," she replied, her throat tight. This was at the moment she had both craved and feared. They shared an awkward silence as she took a seat. The sounds of the cafe faded into the background, and it felt like they were cocooned in their own world. "Thanks for meeting me," he said, his eyes searching hers for something. Understanding? Forgiveness? She wasn't sure. "I'm really glad you texted," Molly said, her voice steadier than she felt. "It's been a long time." "Yeah, it has." He leaned back, visibly relaxing. "I'm really interested in your art. I kept hearing things about you, but I didn't know if they were true." Molly felt a flush of pride mixed with anxiety. "What have you heard?" she asked, trying to make the conversation flow. "That you're doing incredible things. Your show is coming up, right? The gallery? I'd love to hear more about it, see your work." As she spoke about her creations, excitement bubbled within her. She described her pieces, her inspiration drawn from pain and joy entwined. The more she shared, the more the weight on her chest lifted. It felt refreshing, liberating even, to embrace what she loved without hiding behind her insecurities. "You really pour your heart into this," he said, an admiring spark in his eyes. "I can see how passionate you are." Yet, paradoxically, a creeping doubt slithered back. Would he still admire her if he dug deeper? If he tried to learn about the girl behind the art, the girl who had been shamed for her weight and silenced by rejection? Molly hesitated. "But it's not all sunshine and rainbows," she said, her gaze dropping to her coffee cup. "It hasn't been easy for me." "I get that. I mean, we all have our battles," he replied carefully, his eyes softening. "I struggled too. We're all just trying to find our way, right?" For a moment, they shared an understanding, a glimpse into each other's wounds that felt intimate yet safe. Here was someone who didn't come with pretense, but with the raw honesty of human experience. Before she could respond, the cafe door swung open, letting in a blast of crisp air along with a rush of college students. Their laughter enveloped the space, and Molly felt her temporary calm shatter like glass. What if he changed his mind? What if he didn't see her as the person she had grown to be but instead the girl he once knew? As they wrapped up their conversation, Molly's heart raced. He smiled genuinely, promising to come to her show, and for a moment she felt a glimmer of hope. But that lingering fear whispered again at the back of her mind. Could she trust him? Could this change lead to a better version of herself, or would it drag her back to the shadows of her past? "See you at the gallery," he said, standing. But Molly felt a mix of excitement and dread. What awaited her when they met again? Would she step into the light, or would this new connection reveal old wounds she wasn't ready to face? Molly took a deep breath, her heart pounding in her chest as he walked away. She had opened a door, but what lay on the other side? Could she handle it? Would it change her forever, pushing her into the darkness or illuminating a path she had yet to explore? Molly sat in the cafe, her eyes following him as he walked towards the door. A whirlwind of emotions swept through her. How could she feel so exposed yet so alive? She wrapped her hands around her mug, savoring the warmth, hoping it would ground her. "Hey, are you all right?" came a voice from the table beside her. A woman in a bright yellow sweater looked over, concern etched on her face. "You seem a little lost in thought." Molly managed a small smile, caught off guard. "Yeah, just catching up with an old friend. It's a little overwhelming." The woman nodded, her curiosity piqued. "Old friends can do that. They know all the good and the bad." Her eyes sparkled with empathy. "I'm Jenna, by the way." Molly. She appreciated Jenna's warmth. "It's funny seeing someone after so long. You remember everything and nothing at all." Jenna chuckled softly. "That's true. It's like time freezes but also rushes ahead in the weirdest ways." They shared a fleeting moment of connection, a brief escape from Molly's swirling thoughts. But the woman's presence also reminded her of the enormity of her next step, the gallery show, and the risks it entailed, not just for her art but for her heart. "I have a show coming up," she confessed, unsure why she felt compelled to share. "It's been a big deal for me and I guess I'm just terrified." "Terrified is totally normal," Jenna replied, her voice soothing. "Do you know the fear of standing in front of a crowd, bearing your soul?" Molly nodded, feeling seen for perhaps the first time in a long time. "What if they don't like me, or worse, what if they only see the old me?" Jenna leaned in, her eyes earnest. "You can't control how others react. What matters is how you feel when you create. If it speaks to you, then it's right. Trust your voice." It was simple wisdom, but in that moment, it felt like a lifeline. They spent the next few minutes chatting more about their lives, desires, and fears. Molly felt the weight on her chest lift ever so slightly with each shared word. Yet, as she glanced towards the door, her heart played a different tune. What would happen if she really had to face her past? Would she crumble, or could she stand tall? When Jenna excused herself to grab a treat, Molly was alone again. Her mind drifted back to her recent conversation with him. Why was she willing to expose herself, to let him see her insecurities? Was it hope or just desperation? She took a deep breath, summoning the courage. Maybe this was her chance to rewrite the narrative. Maybe she could rise from those shadows that once cloaked her. As she prepared to leave, an idea sparked in her mind. She would create a piece specifically for him, something deeply personal but also unequivocally her. It could either seal her fate with the past or open a new door toward hope. Molly stood, a determined resolve filling her as she pushed through the cafe door. The chill of the crisp air enveloped her, invigorating her spirit. She was ready to channel her fears and joys into her art. But would it be enough to bridge the gap between the woman she had been and the one she wanted to be? The path ahead was uncertain, but the gallery awaited her canvas for transformation. And as she stepped forward, that familiar feeling of hope bubbled back to the surface. What awaited her at the gallery? Would she finally find freedom, or would the weight of the past pull her down again? The gallery loomed ahead, its bright lights spilling onto the sidewalk, inviting yet intimidating. Molly's heart raced as she approached the entrance. This was it. The culmination of late nights spent alone with her paintbrush, the raw emotions she poured onto her canvas, and now the moment she had been dreading and anticipating all at once. As she stepped inside, a flurry of colors greeted her, vibrant pieces hung on the walls, each telling its own story. The buzz of conversations filled her ears. She felt like a tiny fish in a vast ocean. Yet, somewhere in that swirling sea of laughter and chatter, she hoped to find her place. Taking a deep breath, she clutched her portfolio tighter. With every step, memories of her past crept in, the moments of doubt, the stinging words of rejection, the weight of self-judgment. But she shook them off like leaves in the wind. Today, she was here to embrace what she'd become. The gallery was alive. People reveled in each painting, brightening the space with their enthusiasm. Molly scanned the room, her pulse quickening as her eyes landed on him, a familiar figure in the crowd, seemingly at ease among the art lovers. His presence ignited a spark of hope and fear within her. What would he see in her work? Would he recognize the growth, or would he be tethered to the version of her that no longer existed? Gently, she placed her portfolio on a nearby table, her fingers trembling as she unlatched it. A few pieces neatly stacked inside held the weight of her transformation. There was one in particular she had worked tirelessly on, a reflection of all she had faced, the highs and lows, the beauty and pain. Just as she was about to expose her heart to the world, Jenna appeared beside her. The warm light of friendship seemed to illuminate Molly's darkened thoughts. "You got this," Jenna whispered, her voice steady, encouraging. Molly nodded, the knot in her stomach easing just a little. It was for moments like these that she had fought so hard, to share her truth with the world. She felt alive, as if every brushstroke had breathed a part of herself back into existence. "Can I help?" Jenna asked, a supportive smile on her face, sensing the tension radiating from Molly. I want it to be perfect," Molly replied, her voice barely above a whisper. "Perfect is overrated." "Just be you," Jenna said, placing her hand on Molly's shoulder. "You've already poured your heart into it. Now, let others see it." With newfound courage, Molly took a step forward, ready to present her work to the world. She felt as if she stood on the precipice of something monumental. Gathering her breath, she peeled the cover off her favorite piece. The vibrant colors danced in the gallery light, and her heart pounded in her chest. People began to gather. Their eyes widened, and their murmurs created a symphony of appreciation mixed with surprise. Just then, she spotted him moving through the crowd. Their eyes caught, and for a moment, the chatter faded into silence. Would he recognize her transformation? What did it mean to him? As she stood before her art, glowing with a sense of vulnerability, she remembered Jenna's words. This was about her. Every bristle of her brush echoed her truth. But amid the applause and shared looks of admiration, her thoughts drifted again. The weight of her past still lingered, waiting for her next step. Could she truly stand in the light without being cast into shadows once more? Before she could ponder for too long, his steps carried him closer. Her heart raced even faster. The moment felt heavier, charged with possibilities. "Oh, Molly," he said, his voice deep and resonant, cutting through the noise as if they were the only two in the room. What did he see? Would he embrace her transformation, or would he retreat back to the past they shared? Molly stood there, frozen between excitement and anxiety. Her heart raced as she met his gaze, a swirl of emotions crashing together. "You did it," he said, awe spilling over his words. "This is incredible." The warmth of his compliment enveloped her, igniting a burst of confidence that lightened the weight she carried. "Thank you. It means a lot coming from you." Before she could hold back, an unexpected flood of words rushed forward. "I've worked so hard on these pieces, you know. They're my journey." He nodded, his expression shifting from admiration to something deeper. "I can see that. It's powerful, Molly. You've turned your experiences into something beautiful." Molly felt her insecurities begin to fade. For the first time, she wasn't just the girl who had been bullied or the one who hid away. She was an artist with a voice, a message to share, one rooted in strength and resilience. Gathering her breath, she began to explain the stories behind her artwork, their colors representing the complexity of her journey. As she spoke, she felt the connections in the room deepen. More and more faces turned to listen, some even nodding along as if they understood her struggle. With every word, Molly saw shadows lift. Familiar faces from school, those who once ridiculed her, began to approach, their expressions visibly changed. "We're sorry, Molly," one of the boys said, his voice thick with genuine remorse. "We didn't know what you were going through. We didn't see you for who you were." Molly's heart thudded in her chest. This was the moment she didn't realize she needed. "Thank you for saying that," she replied, her voice steady. "But I've worked hard to understand my worth, and I don't hold any grudges. I hope you can, too." He smiled sheepishly, and with that acknowledgement, a barrier fell away between them. The art enveloped everyone with a contagious energy, creating an environment where judgment was replaced with understanding and healing. The CEO appeared at her side, pride radiating off him. "Molly, you are not just showcasing your art, you're reshaping narratives. This is the change we need." His words ignited a spark. She felt a wave of emotions, joy and relief coursing through her. "Yes. This is a community," she exclaimed. "My art is for everyone, especially those who feel unseen or unheard. Everyone deserves to express their truth." This proclamation resonated in the air, taking root in the hearts of those present. People began to chat openly about their experiences, and laughter echoed in the gallery, creating a blend of healing dialogues. As Molly moved through the crowd, faces beamed with admiration, and old wounds began to heal. She felt lighter, her heart swelling with appreciation and hope as familiar yet new friendships blossomed around her. When the night concluded, she stood outside the gallery, her breath mingling with the crisp evening air. The world felt different. The old insecurities had lost their grip, replaced by self-love and acceptance, and armor built from vulnerability. The boy approached her one last time. "Molly, you've changed so much. You've inspired me to take my own journey seriously. I want to create, too." She smiled, feeling pride unfold within her. "Then do it. Art can change lives, including yours. Let us create this together." They embraced, and a sense of resolution filled the air around them. As she walked away, her heart light, Molly reflected on how far she had come. She faced rejection, doubt, and past pains, but had turned them into victories, igniting a movement that would ripple through her community. Molly's journey was only beginning. She finally felt ready to embrace whatever lay ahead. Subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss the next exclusive stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm. Comment your reactions and feelings about the ending. Share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. This is the moment to show your support, and remember, only true fans understand the importance of supporting the channel through these actions. Don't wait not even one more second to share.